Good morning. My name is Don Zavis. I'm a national sales trainer and sales coach. I do keynote speaking throughout the United States on revenue development topics. And I wanted to thank you for joining us for today's installment of Sales Triage. Today's session is kind of an interesting one. It's how do you know when you're done? And that's interesting not only for first-time salespeople, but for the most experienced. One of the things that I hear frequently when clients call me is, Don, can you help us with closing? We're not doing a good job of closing the projects. And one of the things that I talk about is it's never how you close, it's always how you open. If you establish right from the beginning exactly what the successful process looks like, ultimately closing becomes a foregone conclusion because everyone understands when you go from A to B to C to D, and eventually when we come to yes or come to F, we're going to say yes or we're going to say no, and either one is fine. So the idea of how do you know when you are done can actually be addressed in one of two ways. The first thing I like to have is a very specific and shared agenda. So what I like to be able to do is understand what the client, first of all, how long we're going to be together, what the client wants to talk about. Certainly what I want to talk about has to go into the conversation. And ultimately an agreement that at the end of our time, and maybe an hour, half hour, whatever it is, at the end of our time, a decision has got to take place. It could be a yes, decision to buy. It could be a no, decision not to buy. What I don't want more than anything is that maybe or think it over, the stalls and objections that come up. So historically, what I like to be able to do on the phone before we ever get together is I'll be having a conversation and I'll say, and Bob, at the end of our time, really one of two things is going to happen. Either A, it's going to make sense for us to do business together, and what I'll do is I'll bring all the paperwork and I'll take a couple of signatures, I'll take a check for $250, we'll get started. That's what a yes looks like. Or, no, you're not a fit for me, I'm not a fit for you, and I'm going to say thank you, goodbye. Are you going to be okay with that? So I've told them it's okay to say yes, I've also told them it's okay to say no. What I have not allowed into the conversation is some kind of maybe think it over, sleep on it, or something like that. So we talk about the idea of when do we know we're done. So certainly we can be done by agenda, which means at the end of accomplishing a certain series of tasks, we're at a point where a decision has to be made. No different than when you go to the checkout line of the grocery store. You could wander around the grocery store for hours and hours and hours and hours. But when you pick up that can of peas and you go to the checkout and they say it's 78 cents, a decision has to be reached. Either you're going to buy it or not buy it. Either way is fine. The other way that we can do it, and I encourage a lot of beginning salespeople to say this, is to say, now going into role play, Mrs. Jones, I get so excited about my products and services that a lot of times I'll keep talking even when you've already decided that you wanted to buy it. So if it gets to the point where you've already decided that it's a fit for you, you think it'll take care of your problems, could you just kind of put your hand up? Now I know this sounds hokey and silly, but could you just put your hand up and say, you know what, I heard enough, I'm ready to go. Now I've actually done that, and there's nothing more amazing when you see that person raise their hand. And they say, nope, I got it, let's go. It's never how you close, it's always how you open. And you know when you're done either by agenda, something that's pre-structured in the beginning, or by allowing the client to make that decision by saying, if it gets to the point, Mrs. Jones, where you've decided this really is a fit and will take care of your problems, would you be okay if you just kind of put your hand up and say, you know what, got it, I'm all for it, let's move forward. My name is Don Zavis, Don Zavis Sales Training. I can be reached at 248-497-5869 or at my email address of donzavis@comcast.net, and I truly appreciate your time. Thank you.